Hi guys, my name is Shruti. Welcome to my channel Mantra and Maple Leaves. Today we are going to discuss my driving experience in Canada. I moved to Canada in 2018 as a permanent resident. Right now I am a Canadian citizen. So when I moved to Canada, the first thing that I had to do was to get my bank account set up. So at that time, the only two pieces of ID that I had with me was my health card and also my Indian passport. So when I approached Scotiabank to create my bank account, they told me that I would need another piece of ID as they do not consider Indian passport or health card as a valid proof of identification. I don't know if this has changed right now, but when I moved to Canada, this was the case. So it was important for me to get a piece of ID. So that's how I went to get my G1 license. In Ontario, Canada, the G1 class license is equivalent to India's learner's permit. So when you get a G1 class license, they issue an ID proof which has your photo, your date of birth, your address, and some other details on the license. So you can use that piece of ID as an ID proof. So to create a bank account, it was necessary for me to get a G1 class license. So I headed to the test center, the drive test center, after watching a few YouTube videos on how to take the test. When you get to the drive test center, the process is pretty simple. You have to pay a fee. They will take you to a room and there are a few computers there. You have to do the test on the computer and it'll let you know right then and there after you complete the test whether you passed or failed the test. Please feel free to judge me, but I wrote the test four times. I passed it only the fourth time. It was so funny. I would pay the fees, go inside, fail, and then I would head back, pay again, go inside, write the test again, and then I would come back again, do the same thing. I repeated that four times, and then only I was able to pass my G1. To be honest, I actually did not prepare for my test properly. I only watched a few YouTube video. But if you are going to write the test, what I would suggest is there are hard copies available in stores like Shoppers Drug Market. I think it is around $14, or you can download a PDF copy from the Ontario official website. I will include the link of to that on my description, so please feel free to check it out. Then you just need to learn that and go write your exam. Unfortunately, I did not do that, and every test was about $1.50, and I spent around $200 to get my G1 class license. A few days later, it arrived in the mail, and then I was able to create a bank account. When you come to Canada and when you don't have a driver's license, you have to rely on public transport for transportation. But I was really fortunate because my then boyfriend, who's my husband now, used to drive me around everywhere. He used to chaperone me everywhere I went. And I used to love being a passenger princess. In India, it is right hand side drive, but in Canada, it is left hand side drive. So when I moved to Canada, it was a little disorienting for me because my muscle memory always takes me to the driver's side of the car, and my husband used to laugh a lot every time I do that because I would be going to I would be going to enter the passenger side seat, but I'll always go to the driver's side seat. It took me a while to get a hang of it. When I was being a passenger princess, while my husband was driving me everywhere, one thing that I did was I did look at the rules and regulations. I checked out how he was driving and I was asking him questions on why he did a specific turn. What's the rule at four-way stops? And I used to learn how he used to learn watching how he used to drive. Once you have your G1 class license, which is your learner's permit, you have to wait an year to write your G2. Your G2 is the class of license where you can start driving four-wheel drive cars. If you're moving from India and you don't want to wait that 1 year to get your G2 license, what you can do is you can bring your driver's abstract or like your driving record from India, and if you provide that during your G1 license, you would be able to do your G2 test without waiting this 1 year. I did not do this because when I moved, I wasn't aware of it, and it was too much of a hassle for me to ask somebody from my family to go and get my driver's abstract. So I waited that 1 year before writing my before doing my G2 drive test. However, if you are a person who's been driving and has experience driving in India, I would not suggest you guys to like bring your driver's abstract or your driver's history and skip that 1 year period of time, because if you have driving experience in India, your muscle memory would always make you drive in the wrong directions. There have been a lot of accidents in Canada because of this. Fortunately, I used to only ride scooters back in India. I never drove a car. I started driving a car after I moved to Canada, so it was easy for me to pick that up. During that 1 year time, I actually asked my husband to teach me how to drive. When you have a G1 class license, somebody with a G class license can accompany you and you can learn how to drive on the road. So he taught me how to drive, and he taught me all the other things that you need to do while you're doing your drive test, like parallel parking. There is another thing that you need to do, which is like a 3 point turn. So those things are something that I didn't know, and my husband taught me how to do it. And after learning for like maybe like 2 3 weeks, I did my drive test, and I failed my first drive test. It was so funny because the drive test center that I chose was in a busy street. Okay. And my drive test instructor, he actually looked very, very strict. So I was really nervous. So when I was about to like merge to the main road, I did check both sides, but I failed to notice that there was another car merging to the main road which was from a plaza opposite to the drive test center, which didn't see. So when I was about to merge, he had to pull the handbrake. At that point, I knew that I failed my G2 drive test. And after that, also, I made a mistake at a four-way where I knew that the car stopped before me and they were supposed to go first, but I got so nervous that I went through it. So those were the two big mistakes that I did on my G1 drive test. And when I failed my test, like after your drive test is done and you get to the drive test center, they will tell you the mistakes that you've done and also will inform you that you actually failed the test. It was I To be honest, I wasn't really upset about the first drive test failure because I knew that I did not had enough practice before doing that. So the next time when I went for my G2 drive test, I did a lot of practice sessions with my husband. And that time I had a lady drive test instructor, and she was pretty sweet. I don't know if that helped me with my drive test, but was it my confidence level, but I did pass my G2 drive test the second time. And I remember being more confident the second time because there was a point where at a stop sign you're actually supposed to stop at the line. Okay. And I was supposed to merge to a main road, and there was this bushes on the side of the road and I could not see the main road clearly. So after stopping behind the line, I actually asked her, is it okay if I inch up a little more, because I don't feel safe to merge to the main road without inching up. And she said, that's exactly what I want you to do. So please do it. And I did that. And that time I passed my G2 test and I got my G2 license. After getting my G2 license, I still was very scared of like driving. So I only used to drive when I had to drive, like when there was like necessity for me to drive. Otherwise, if my husband was available, I used to be just the same, the passenger princess. Before I talk about my G class drive test, I want to tell you guys the basic distinction between G1, G2, and G license levels. In G1, as I said, it's basically a learner's permit. With that learner's permit, you need to have an adult who has a valid driver's license and have 4 years of driver's experience in Canada to accompany you while you're driving. Also, there are some restrictions, like you cannot go on highways, especially the 403 series highways. You cannot go on those. And also, you're not allowed to like drive between 12 p.m. and 5 a.m. And also, the passengers on the vehicle must have a proper secure seat belt while you're driving. So those are the restrictions with a G1 class license. When you get a G2 license, what you are able to do is you can drive without an experienced person inside the car. You can drive on all Ontario roads at any time of the day. But the thing is that you're not supposed to have any alcohol in your system. It has to be zero blood alcohol level. And also, you can only carry as many passengers as there are working seat belt. And if you're 19 years old and you have a G2 license, then there are a little more restrictions, like you're not allowed to drive between midnight and 5 a.m. And you can only drive with one passenger who is 19 or under in your car. Okay. Mm. So, also, before we continue, I just want to tell you what are there in your G2 drive test. What are the things that they look? I will put this link for you in my description so that you can check it out yourself. This is the official ontario.ca page where everything's like given. So on your G2 road test, they'll check if you can turn right or left, if you can do proper stopping, can you do parallel parking, can you drive on one-way streets, lane changes. They check 3-point turns, if you can do 3-point turns. They check how you drive in residential neighborhood, and they check if you're like properly using the traffic light, stop and yield signs. So these are the things that are being tested at a G2 test. So once I passed my G2, I have to wait another 1 year before I can write my do my G driving license. Like that's the highest class of license level for four-wheel driving cars. Okay, so after a year, I went for my G class license, and I got the same person who did my first road test, the person that I said that I thought was like very, very strict. But one thing I realized was that at that time, I was really nervous when I did my first drive test. The second time, I wasn't that nervous and it went really well. The only tricky part was when I was driving on the highway, we went on this big bridge called the Skyway. When I was on Skyway, he actually asked me to do a merge. And I checked my mirrors and I said, I'm sorry, I don't think it is safe for me to merge here because there's a lot of traffic. And then he said, okay, then no need to merge. And I thought, oh my God, he's going to fail me for this because I didn't do a merge properly. But that was a trick question. I was supposed to say no for that merge. And after my test, he told me that. And he also told me that I passed my driver's test. He also told me that since he saw that I had a child car seat on the back of my car, he said that whenever I'm going through intersection, even though the light is green, please make sure that you look both sides properly, because there's been a lot of accidents where even in green light, when you have the right of way, people would come and hit on the side. And since I have a child, it's better for me to be like a little more careful at intersections, which I think was a great piece of advice that anyone could give me, right? As a mother, I really appreciated it. And I was so happy that I got my G license. When you do your G driver's test, what they test you on is driving on major roads and expressways, including merging on and off, maintaining appropriate speed and space, signaling, and more. And they also check your turns, curves, and lane changes. They check how you drive at intersections, and they also check how you drive in business areas. Also, when you are doing your drive test, this is another tip that I want to give you. Even though you are doing your mirror checks, okay, please make it very evident. So if you're looking at your rear view mirror, look like this. If you're looking your side mirrors, look like this. And, be a little extra than you usually do, because they need to see that you're doing it, right? So it's better that you like exaggerate these kind of stuff so that they know that you're doing your checks properly. It's another tip that you need to do. And trust me, it really helps when you're doing your drive test. When you have G license, you can actually drive everywhere. There is no restrictions. Any time of the day, you can drive. Also, I think there is a percentage of blood alcohol level that is allowed when you have a G class license. So once I passed my G class, I still was not very confident with driving on highways. But I started doing baby steps where I would go to the grocery store alone. I would get groceries. I would go to like places that are near to me, familiar roads and stuff where I can drive, and I would like practice and get better at and I got better at driving, and I was a little confident about it. But I'm being very honest with you guys. Even after I got my G license, I was not very confident with my driving skills. I only got very confident and comfortable with driving after I got my B license, which is the license level that you need to drive a school bus. My training was done by my company. It was a free training, and they also helped me with my written test and also my drive test. So there was a written test where I had to learn few things about the drive test. I can do a detailed video on that later for you guys. But then there was a written test, and then I had to do a drive test for the B license. And after I passed and I started driving school bus is when I felt confident about driving. And after that, I have been driving my car like on highways. I would go on long drives. I have driven alone to Kitchener, which is like 160 kilometers away from where I live, and I'm pretty confident to like drive anywhere I want to. Since I'm talking about my driving experience in Canada, I thought it was important for me to include any fender benders that I have been or any accidents that I have been. Fortunately, there was only one fender bender, and this happened after I started working as a school bus driver. And the accident didn't happen with my school bus, it happened with my car. After dropping my bus at the yard at my company, I was just taking my car out of the parking lot. I was backing out and I hit a truck that was parked behind me. Fortunately, I would say, my the Trailhawk, my Jeep, my car is a Jeep Trailhawk, and it actually has like a hook behind. Fortunately, it was that hook that went and hit the truck, and it only hit the license plate. So the license plate had like a plastic covering so that the license plate doesn't rust. So that's where my tail hook hit, and the plastic cracked. So what I got like really nervous when that happened, and I tried to find the truck driver, but I couldn't. So what I did was I took a piece of paper, I wrote my name, I said, I'm sorry that I cracked your license plate cover, and I gave them my number, and I told them, please reach out to me and I would compensate for what the damages that I have done. And they called me after like a week or two, and then I had to like pay like $20 for that cover, which was fine. And I think, I'm glad that they did not they were not mad at me, and they appreciate the fact that I actually wrote a letter to them and I kept it on their dash. So so very fortunate, and I'm really fortunate that that was the only fender bender that I have been to. And hopefully that's the only thing, that, and hopefully there won't be any more too, right? Like, one can only hope, because when you're driving, it's not just about your driving skill, it's about other people who are on the road too. And if you have noticed, there's been a lot of accidents in Canada and a lot of death happening because other people when driving recklessly. And it is very hard and saddening, because I in the few in the past few months only, there have been kids who died in accidents because of drivers not driving properly, not following the rules properly. So if you're out there driving, what I would want to say is, please be safe. And also, what I want to tell to the new drivers is that, get out of your comfort zone, take baby steps, slowly drive the car around. You will get used to it, and you will slowly build your confidence up. Don't let anybody tell you that what you can and cannot do. As a woman, I think that when I started driving around, it felt very liberating, to me, to do my things on my own. And I think that freedom is something that everybody needs to have too. So yeah, so if you are in Canada and you want to drive, and I hope this video is helpful. And also another thing is, like, people might think that me driving a school bus is a huge thing, and I think there are, like, in India it is considered like a huge thing when a woman can drive like heavy duty vehicles. And when I became a school bus driver in Canada, what I realized is that 80% of the staff in my company, in my school bus driving company, were women. And when I told my husband about it, he wasn't surprised at all, because he told me that when he was little, and this is the 1990s that I'm talking about, when he was little, all his school bus drivers were women. So we can also do it, guys. We just have to, like, believe in ourselves and have some confidence. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this video was informative too. If you really like the video, please don't forget to subscribe. I really need your support. Bye.